My own mother stared straight into my eyes on Christmas Eve and told me there was no room in this family for me or my son. That single sentence, spoken through a half-open door in the freezing Wisconsin wind, is the moment my entire life quietly broke apart. And it is also the moment it finally began to heal. My name is Emily Whitfield, and for nearly 3 decades, I tried desperately to earn a place in a family that had already decided I did not belong. I paid my own way through college while my younger brother Marcus was handed money for business after business, every single one of them failing. I built a successful company from nothing while he lived off our parents. Yet every Christmas Eve, I still drove 3 hours to my grandmother Eleanor's lodge on Lake Geneva, still hoping this would finally be the year I mattered. That year shattered every bit of hope I had left. My mother Diane opened the heavy timber door, looked past my 6-year-old son Oliver without a flicker of warmth, and told me there was a strict capacity limit, that we were not on any list, and that we should go home. Then she shut the door in our faces. Oliver cried the entire walk back to the car, whispering that Grandma must hate him because she never even looked at the card he made her. I did not cry. Something inside me simply went cold and still. We were minutes down the driveway when my phone rang. It was Eleanor, confused, asking why we were not at dinner yet. When I explained, there was a silence so heavy I thought the call had dropped. Then her voice returned, sharp and commanding in a way I had never once heard from her, telling me to turn the car around immediately. There was no room in her tone for argument, so despite every instinct telling me to keep driving, I turned around. Eleanor was waiting on the porch herself this time, wrapped in a thick wool coat, silver hair catching the lantern light. She pulled me into a warm hug and knelt down to greet Oliver like he was the most important guest of the night, and his tears vanished instantly. She led us inside, and the moment we stepped through the door, the music stopped and every conversation died at once. My parents and Marcus stood frozen near the fireplace, their smiles faltering the second they saw us. Eleanor walked into the center of the room, still holding Oliver's hand, and called my mother forward in front of every guest. She asked calmly who had told her there was a capacity limit that night. My mother stammered about caterers and misunderstandings, until Eleanor pulled out her phone and played the porch security footage, my mother's own voice filling the room, cold and unmistakable, telling us there was no room and to go home. Gasps rippled through the crowd as her polished image cracked apart in seconds. Eleanor was far from finished. She asked Marcus to bring out our grandfather's antique silver service, worth over $50,000, always kept locked in the library. Marcus turned pale and admitted, voice shaking, that it was not there. My father jumped in, insisting it had been sent out for professional cleaning. Eleanor calmly slid a pink pawn shop receipt across the table instead, asking if that counted as cleaning. The truth spilled out in front of everyone. Marcus had secretly pawned our family heirlooms to cover gambling debts, and my parents had shut me out that Christmas specifically because I was the only one who always checked that cabinet. The only one who would have noticed the theft immediately. I had been sent away in the cold, not because I was difficult, but because I still had enough integrity left to expose a crime happening right under their roof. Eleanor did not raise her voice again. She simply told my parents they had until midnight to pack and leave the guest cottage they had lived in rent-free for 10 years, and told Marcus he was being removed entirely from her will, with the full estate now passing to me. My mother screamed that I could never handle something so large. I looked at all 3 of them clearly for the first time in my life, and saw nothing but small, frightened people standing in warmth they had never once earned. I reminded them calmly that they had told me to go home earlier that night, so now I was simply returning the favor. They left into the same cold that had been left for me hours before, and the heavy door clicked shut behind them for good. Eleanor walked over, turned the music back on, and quietly announced that we finally had a dinner worth enjoying. A full year later, I am sitting in that same lodge, filled now with light instead of heavy dark drapes, watching Oliver laugh on the rug while stockings hang along the mantel bearing all our names. My parents live bitter and isolated in a small Milwaukee apartment. Marcus now faces serious fraud charges. I have not spoken to a single one of them since, and I feel no pull to change that. If you are watching this and you know that same aching cold of a family that refuses to truly see you, please hear me clearly. You are not too much and you are not too little. You are simply standing at the wrong door, and it is not your job to keep freezing yourself trying to warm people who already chose to stay cold. Turn around, walk away, and build your own fire, because everything you gain afterward will always outweigh everything you left behind.